Welcome to the regular council meeting. We're going to begin with our caucus sheet. There's one motion, M018-2025. Megan Recker is here to address council. Come on up. Just state your name, and you're with the Children's Service Board.
Correct, yeah. Megan Recker, here by appointment of Executive Shapiro to serve on the Children's Services Board. I don't know what else I'm
Does
supposed to
anybody have any questions for Megan?
Oh, sure, yeah. So I work currently at Summa Health System. I oversee the behavioral health service line. My background is as a child trauma therapist, so I spent a lot of years working with children who suffered severe abuse and neglect, and had a lot of interaction with Children's Services Board across the state in that role. So I've worked here in Summit County about 6 or 7 years, but prior to that interacted with the board in a variety of ways. So I'm really excited about this opportunity. It's both clinically and systematically an area that I'm really passionate about and think that I have a lot of expertise in. So, yep.
Thanks, Megan. Does anybody have any questions for Megan? Okay, thank you, Megan, and welcome. There are 11 first readings. There are 2 first reading passage requests. 2025-093, Greg Stanley to address council.
Evening, everyone. Craig Stanley, Executive Shapiro's Department of Administrative Services. We're looking to clear out the environmental issues at the State Road facility, one being asbestos, light bulbs, ballasts, things like that. So we went out to bid. We got back 4 responsive bids, rather, and this was the low bid. We checked their licenses, make sure they're certified by the EPA. We have a bid bond. We have all the things that we require. So we're requesting to move forward with this.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Stanley? Mr. Stanley, thank you. And then I have one public comment.
Hold on. Sorry, Madam
I'm
President.
so sorry,
I have
Joe.
a question for Craig.
Yeah.
Craig, the grant. This is a grant that is from the state of Ohio, is that right?
Correct.
And it's lost money if we do not spend this money by when?
The deadline is May 1st, but I have filed for an extension. So as long as we are under the digging and everything and tearing down the building, then we'll be good.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Is there any further comments? I have one public comment tonight regarding this piece of legislation. Paul Zurabel would like to come up and address council. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Oh, Paul, please state
Paul
your
Zurabel,
name and your address. And
3018 Ridgewood Road, Fairlawn, Ohio, 44333. Okay, I'm here tonight to give insight into what type of person wants to do business with you in order to combat the lies about me being perpetrated by some local officials and endorsed by the administration chief of staff. As a lifetime resident of Summit County, I've been married to my wife, Lori, for 46 years. Together we have raised 5 children in this county, the eldest of which passed away suddenly at the age of 16. All of our children were homeschooled and did not take advantage of the public school system, even though I paid property tax. I purchased my first home at age 21 and have bought and sold over 50 properties, mostly in Summit County, some in other counties, and some in other states. These activities alone are evidence that I have been doing business with the county for over 50 years. I have developed many properties that have resulted in more income for the residents of Summit County, contrary to the lie being spread through uncovered emails I have obtained between local officials and county administration that has no basis in fact. I was never contacted by any county official or asked about these statements. In order to defend what was said, instead I was removed from any consideration to purchase a property at 2525 State Road based on comments made from a local official to the administration. To continue this attack, as Brian Nelson did in an email to council members, is uncalled for and should not exist within the conversation of public officials. The tearing down of the character of any citizen in the county in private emails should be concerning to anyone paying taxes to support government administration. Let me compare and contrast what I have completed to what the county administration has done with the property at 2525 State Road. By their own admission, the property has been vacant 8 years, while utilities are being paid approximately $30,000 a year. In their grant application to the state, they state that the property at 2525 is unsafe, unsanitary, and dilapidated. I would disagree. This is despite statements on the Physical Plants Department section of the executive website under facilities that buildings are physical assets which need to be properly maintained to ensure that they are fit for their purpose, continue to function as efficiently as effectively as possible. Deterioration of buildings due to the lack of proper maintenance can lead to future financial burdens, pose health and safety and legal and other industrial relations issues, and effectively put the county services, deny delivery of county services. Therefore, adequate and appropriate maintenance of buildings is critical to the proper management of physical assets. And this is right on Eileen Shapiro's website under physical plants, that they should maintain the buildings properly. Okay?
Paul, your 3 minutes is almost
How
up.
did we
much
get
more
where
you
we
got on
are?
there?
Why not lease? Why not sell? The lack of proper management and maintenance has resulted in the administration now asking for more state and local money to demolish a property that they have neglected to maintain properly. They have neglected their responsibility to the people of Summit County. I have uncovered many emails that
Paul.
prove an attempt to steer the administration into selling the property to certain individuals
Paul.
while ignoring an offer
Paul.
that has become the best offer.
Paul, the 3 minutes are
Okay.
up. How much more you have on there?
About 30 seconds.
Okay, go on and finish your 30
Madam
seconds.
President, I have a question for Paula.
Okay,
Sure.
let him finish his 30 minutes, and then we'll go back to that.
Okay. Okay, I have uncovered many emails that prove an attempt to steer the administration into selling the property to certain individuals while ignoring an offer that has become the best offer in terms of capital gain for the county. It is unacceptable to not offer equal access when it comes to the sale of public property. As council members, you are elected to do what is best for all in the county as pertains to county assets. Please do what is right and moral. Do not participate in funding the demolition of a building when other viable options exist, even as late as late January of this year. They had offered to a local developer in Cuyahoga Falls a building, considering giving it to him for $1.
Okay, Paul,
So-
thank you. What question do you have, Joe?
Sure, so I think I'm familiar with the email you're talking about, but it sounds like you're saying the rejection of your offer in 2021 came as a result of this email in 2025.
No,
What's the
it came.
timeline on this?
It came as a result of a conversation in email that I don't know when it took place. It came out in 2025, but the original conversation
The
in
email's
December, when I made the offer, evidently, the administration had a conversation with Diana Kovacekio of Cuyahoga Falls, and that's when this information was, it didn't come out until another council person asked Diana for background on this.
Okay, but, so this email didn't predate your rejection letter back in 2021, right? Your offer was rejected back when you made it, right?
Well, which email are you talking about? Are you talking about?
The email you're talking about that you say you got from.
No, the email, the conversation was an email between the administration and Diana Kovacekio.
what's
It was
the date
revealed
on that?
later.
What's the date on that?
I don't have it with me.
Is it 2025?
The email, yeah, from the council person to the, well, when was the conversation taking place? When did the conversation take place,
The
Joe?
email you referenced,
Huh?
so if the email is dated 2025
Well-
and your rejection is 2021, there's a causation problem there.
Well,
Let's talk about the
there
next
could
point,
be,
which
Joe,
is-
but let me,
Well, hold on.
okay.
You had your time, now it's my turn. The building maintained for a particular purpose. At this point, there is no purpose to this building for the county services. It is an empty building. And so to say that we're derelict in our duty on that, I don't feel that's accurate, right? Because it's suited no particular purpose to the county, and so to maintain it for that purpose, that's a no-brainer. The third point, the most important point, Paul, is this. When you and I talked in February this year, I asked you if there was an offer on the table from you to the county to buy this building, and you confirmed that there was not, okay? And is that still the case today?
No, that's not. I came to council on March 3rd when, in the
Where
legislation,
is that offer?
where's the offer?
An offer to buy real estate must be in writing and signed. Where's that offer?
I get that. I mean, well, they said it's not for sale.
You made a written offer signed by you?
No, I didn't recently, no.
Okay. So there is no offer on the table today.
Well, it's not for sale,
When
Joe.
the Beacon is reporting this, and it's saying that we have this option. between
You have a
gaining-
verbal offer. You had a verbal offer at
That's not
council.
valid in the state of Ohio. Okay? Written offers are for real estate. You're portraying in the public that we have this option between gaining $350,000 in cash or losing something now we know exactly, $208,000 in cash to gain another $800,000 in grant money. So plus 800 on this side, and you're portraying this $500,000 swing, right, from minus 200 to positive 350. And that makes sense until we realize that there is no offer on the table. And so the only option before this council today is whether to spend 200 to gain 800 and remove this building from our balance sheet, remove its cost from our monthly ledger, and be done with it. And so, yes, 4 years ago, this property was for sale. Yes, at that time you made a valid offer. It was not the best offer. It was rejected in writing. That closes that offer. You would have had to make a new offer, show us the money on the table, because now we're left with take this $800,000 and tear it down, or don't, right? We don't have a viable alternative on the table to take. We can't say, yes, sell it for this today. Instead, the only alternative is to say no to the $800,000. We've heard that timeline is May, so we're going to lose that money, and then hope that a real proposal hits us with real money on the table, with financing or cash in place to do a deal that makes it somehow through the same due diligence process that all these other potential buyers rejected us on when they got to realize that there was $5 million potentially to rehab this building. And I know you say you can do it for cheaper, but you haven't been in there to see it. So we don't know that. And so what we're left with is take this $800,000 right now, get rid of this building that is costing our taxpayers money, and do most of it, 75% of it, with a grant. Or we do nothing and hope we find a new buyer, whether that's you or someone else, who can turn this around and get through a due diligence process. And to me, that doesn't make sense, Madam
Right.
President. Thank you.
And it's,
Well,
Mr.
I would
Wilhite-
disagree
Mr.
with you.
Wilhite has a question? Oh, yeah, I thought you minded something.
I would disagree with you, Joe, in the fact that you're going to spend more than $208,000 because the demolition costs have yet to be bid on.
Okay.
That, you're looking at asbestos abatement with that 208.
And then,
And if you want to give me 24 hours to
Paul.
put a writing in offer,
That's already done.
yeah, Paul.
It's
Okay.
already here.
Paul, Mr. Nelson would like to talk on this.
I have nothing further to add.
Okay,
The only thing I recited to county council were matters of public record, which would disqualify a potential bidder as being responsible under our ordinances,
well, 50 years of paying property tax is pretty
okay.
responsible.
Thanks, Paul.
or not.
Or
Madam
not?
President, I have a
Thank you.
comment,
Oh, is there anybody else would like to say anything?
but I will.
Okay, go on, Mr.
I represent Cog Falls on county council and this area in particular, and I have gotten complaints about the appearance of this building for years. And the neighbors complain, they feel it's an eyesore, and it will be beneficial to go forward with this and redevelop that entire parcel.
Okay.
The parking deck it's an eyesore. I'm surprised the neighbors haven't complained more than they actually have. And it has to be torn down one way or another, and you lose half your parking right there by tearing that down, and there's not much there to begin with. And then people talk about residential. Well, there's no green space, and there's no parking. So, pardon me? What? Oh, was that from out there? I'm sorry. Excuse me. Thank you, Madam President.
Okay, thank you. Come on, Erin.
Yeah, I just want to add, it seems to me from what we've learned that the executive staff went through a process of figuring out whether this can be repurposed in a safe way for the community, and I'm satisfied with their work on this, and you know, I'm happy. We have more of an interest than just trying to make money on property. We have a responsibility to sell the property and use the property in a way that will be good for the community. And by abating asbestos, cleaning it up, and having new vacant land that can be redeveloped in an area that's really gone through a lot of positive change, to continue that positive change, I'm happy that we can be a part of that. We don't always have an opportunity to use land in the county the way we want to, but this is our property to sell and to remediate, and I'm glad that that's the plan. So thank you for your work.
Thank you. Is there any further comments on this? Christine, are you okay with this? Okay. Next, we have 2025094, Phil Montgomery, to address council.
Thank you, Madam President. Phil Montgomery from the Executive's Department of Finance and Budget. We have before council this round's appropriation legislation. The first item is appropriating cash on hand for the Summit for Kids Fund, so they're able to be expended this year. The second item is the remaining budget already approved by council for the rehabilitation of this building, so it's also the cash on hand. The last one on this page is an appropriation increase for the demolition of a water tower. On to page 2, we're transferring some old grant funds to the new funds to be able to expend those. We have the end of this is a new appropriation for the engineer out at Ravenna Road. On the third page, we have a new grant for the sheriff and another small transfer from an old grant to a new grant for Common Police Court. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Does anybody have any questions about Christine?
Can I just ask about the Summit for Kids? What does that cover?
So we're working on that. I know Greta has some ideas. So this is the old Summit for Kids that used to be run by the juvenile court, and there are some leftover funds. And I believe, Greta, is it still to work with SEI? And
So we've met with Judge Teodosio, and we've met with Rachel Tecca in working on a collaboration between juvenile court and Rachel's programs. When she came in and updated council on that, they are having a symposium this fall, so we think that continues with the original purpose of the Summit for Kids. If you all remember, it wasn't just the day where kids came. The day before was a symposium for professionals in that space, and that is what we are looking to invest the rest of those funds in. So we had just asked about what the balance was, how we can make those available so that they could be used for the programming for the out-of-school time that they're working on. Judge Teodosio was particularly interested in a way that that money could be used to promote the services of legal aid for families who have children with, it's escaping me right now, a specialized plan with schools. Certain, thank you. I was like, it's 3 letters and it's gone.
That's okay.
Families with students who have IEPs, the legal requirements that go with those, and certainly those are under fire right now and in danger. So the judge wanted to be able to get information out to families of students with IEPs.
Is there any further questions? Moving on. John, you okay with this? Okay, thank you. There is one late filing, first reading passage request, 2025-103. Mr. Tubbs is here to address council. Hi, Mr. Tubbs.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Dennis Tubbs, Executive Superior's Office of Community and Economic Development. So what I wanted to do, and I'm also the district liaison for the county for OPWC. I wanted to give you a quick overview of OPWC. So in your packet, you should have a document right here, and the document says OPWC Dollars at Work. So what OPWC does, it funds infrastructure programs that help improve communities, and those programs could be roads, bridges, wastewater plants, water plants, anything of that nature. So on that document, it talks about how governments apply for funding, the districts review the funding, and then the projects are awarded by the state, and then construction begins. So as the District 8 liaison, oh, I'm sorry, on the back here real quick, on the back of that document, it shows a historical timeline of how Issue 2 has been approved by the voters. So the second document also has it's a renewal fact sheet, looks like this here. And on that renewal fact sheet, it has several things. It says, OPWC, we fund infrastructure projects in communities throughout Ohio for nearly 40 years. It's been approximately 38 plus years since they've been doing that funding. And they have been improving lives of Ohioans and providing grants and loans for better roads, bridges, wastewater treatment, water supply, and stormwater infrastructure. There's a couple other key points on this document. The first one on the right side, do these projects raise my taxes? And they do not. The program does not increase taxes. It relies on bonds which are paid off with existing state revenue. And then another important feature is why does this program require renewal from the voters? The funding for this program relies on amendment to Ohio's Constitution about every 10 years approximately for renewal. It was originally approved by the direct vote of Ohioans in 1987 and since has been reauthorized 3 times. The next authorization will be in May of this year, so hopefully we'll get a 4th time for that. So being the District 8 liaison of the 88 counties, there are 19 different committees, excuse me. So of the 88, 7 of them, including Summit County, our district is purely for Summit County. We don't overlap into neighboring communities and neighboring communities within the state. So there's a map here. I don't know if that's in your packet or not, showing all the 19 different communities. So our District 8, we get approximately $10 million to use for SCIP projects. In the SCIP program, there's either grants or loans, and then there's also a revolving loan fund in the SCIP project. We already talked about them providing projects for infrastructure. Also, our integrating committee for SCIP, we have a 9-member integrating committee that reviews the applications that come in from our TAC. So that what happens is the TAC people apply for grants, the TAC reviews those applications, and then from there, those applications go to the integrating committee for review. Now, once that happens, the applicant has the ability to come in and not protest, but if they feel that they're getting scored low, they can actually come before the committee and have a review of their scores to see if those get increased or decreased. Once that happens, typically in June or July of the year, applicants are due, and then everything is due to the state by November of that year. And then funds are available from the state in July of the following year. So it's kind of like a year and a half cycle to go through for funding. On the financial side, all of the financial work is done by the state. The state has a website called WorkWise, and that's where all of the application information is submitted into to the state. So once our slate is approved by our integrating committee, then it goes up to the state, and once it's approved there, the state handles all of the contract agreements between the communities and all that. That's all done by the state. So it's a collaboration between the state and Summit County. Excuse me. I also believe in your packet here, you'll see a document that looks similar to this. That document has some of the, by community name, some of the projects that have already been funded through OPWC. So it's a pretty, I think it's about a 4 or 5 page double-sided document. So there's a lot of projects that have been funded from OPWC. There's also a document in your packet that has a breakdown of that's not in your document. Well, I will make sure I provide this to Mr. Potter to give to the council members. Okay. Okay. I'll make sure we get those over to you folks.
Would you mind providing the entire packet electronically?
Yes, I can do that. I'll do that also. So right now we are getting ready to start program year 40, and this document shows 39 back to 33. So typically it's about $10 million that the county gets. So in round 39, which is last year, it was a little over 10.8 million. There were 13 projects that were funded. In 38, it was approximately $13 million, and there were 19 projects that were funded. And then 37, it was approximately 13 million with about 6 projects funded. So it varies in that we said we get approximately 10 million. That additional carryover is typically funds that are left over from cycle to cycle that can still be spent. So that's why we were a little over 10 million the past 2 years. And then the final document that I hope is in your packet, that's it, okay. These are the slate of awarded projects that go back 4 years. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me, and I will definitely give you any information. On all of these projects that are referenced on these documents, I have access to the WorkWise website that has all of the descriptions and all of the information if anyone wants to see that. So with that being said, I'll answer any questions you may have for me.
Mr. Wilhite?
Dennis, with the dollars that come through this program, do we have to match any of them, or are they straight? If you get the award, it covers the project?
It's just straight. We don't match any funds for that. And one thing I also forgot to mention, excuse me, the county engineer gets an automatic allocation, and the highest scoring township every year gets an automatic allocation.
Mr. Schmidt?
When is it on the ballot?
It will be on the ballot in May of this year. Yes.
Ms. Bethany?
Thank you, Madam President. I had a question about the project that is dimmed out for South Main Street Phase 3. I believe that would be in between, in green on, is that page 1? It looks, yeah.
First page. Yes, that's dimmed out because the city of Akron decided to withdraw the project. So that's why it says.
Not the South Main Street.
Oops, I'm
area
sorry,
that
South
is
Main Phase
needed,
3.
It's technically in green, but it's on the border of green and New Franklin, or is this somewhere else?
Unfortunately, I'm not 100% sure exactly where that's at. I can find out and get back to you.
Okay, but you're thinking that this was withdrawn, and that's why it's...
Yes, that's why it's grayed out.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any further comments? Thank you, Mr. Tubbs.
Thank you.
John, you okay with this? All right. Next, we have Brian is going to speak to us on regarding the electric aggregation program. Sorry,
Yeah.
Brian.
Yeah, I am. I just wanted to get you guys, I know Tom Bellish was in here a couple weeks ago with the request to lock in a price with Dynegy. Since that price has been locked in, notifications went out. We've started getting phone calls. I know Councilman Cation, and I'm going to guess some others have gotten them. And if not, you might, which is why I thought I'd just give a little bit of background. For those who aren't completely familiar with our electric aggregation program, who Dynegy is, what's going on in the market. So our aggregation program is what they call an opt-out program, and which means if you live in a township or in the village or the city of New Franklin, which was partially a city and a township at the time this all passed, which is why they're in, you are automatically enrolled in this unless you opt out of it. This was put on the ballot in each of those communities and was approved by each of those communities as an opt-out program. So if you get callers complaining about that component of it, that's what the voters approved. And Greta and I had gone back and looked in 2002, it was between 65 and 75% approval rate, in those elections. Dynegy, the company that is our supplier, is the company that acquired Energy Harbor. It was about a year and a half ago, I think. Energy Harbor was formerly First Energy Solutions. And Dynegy, as part of that acquisition, also acquired the nuclear power plants that Energy Harbor owned. So they also control the energy supply to a large extent as part of this program. They have generation capacity. Over the years, when all this first started 20-some years ago, because First Energy's headquarters was here, FES, Energy Harbor, They have always been kind of what I call our preferred provider, just because of their corporate presence, things they do in the community. So when our brokers go out and get pricing for us, one of the things we require them to do is to look at those companies and make sure and negotiate competitive pricing from them to make sure our pricing is competitive with what other suppliers in the market are offering. That we brought in a rate, which you guys authorized the striking of the rate. It did, I think the email I sent the other day was off. It was $9.28 is the actual price that we struck for 13 months. And you see all these headlines. I know one got sent around today about communities pricing. They're all in this $9 ballpark. What I would, and I talked to Tom Bellish today as well. He told me that that they are expecting Ohio Edison's SRO rate to be about 10.4 cents per kilowatt hour this summer. Our current rate of I'm not sure what it is, 5.17, 5.14, somewhere in there, is in effect until May. But what I always tell people when they ask is to think of this like a price ceiling, price protection. Your rate over the next 13 months, if you stay in the plan, is guaranteed not to go above 9.28. Now, I would also encourage residents to go out to the Apples to Apples website the PUCO has and do price shopping. You can opt out of the plan and take another plan, and there are some better prices. I would also advise them, though, make sure you pay attention to the term, how long that fixed rate is locked in, and whether there are any fees to get out, because you could sign up for a 13-month plan, but it's only fixed for the first 3 months or 6 months, and then it becomes variable. And many times with those plans, it doesn't just stop at the 10.4 cents. Those suppliers have much higher variable rates. So it's one of those, proceed with caution as you do this. But I would always encourage folks to go out to Apples, look and see if they can get a better price. Our program, as it's structured, it does not have an opt back in, but several years ago we created what I'd call a lookalike opt-in program, where anybody who's eligible or was eligible under our opt-out, who opted out, can come back into that opt-in program and get the same pricing for the same term. Really, they won't know any difference between whether they were in the opt-out or they've opted into this opt-in, and then at the next renewal cycle, they would go back into the opt-out cycle of this. So that's a little history. Electric rates in every one of these plans are going up over $9 a kilowatt hour. Again, there are some better prices on Apples to Apples, but encourage folks to be careful and make sure they read the fine print about how long it's fixed and whether there are fees to get out of those programs if they leave.
Brian, in our program, you can opt in or opt out any time.
Yes, no
or
fee.
opt out, but
You can opt out,
Any
and
time
then you
of the
can
year?
opt back into a companion plan that's exactly like the opt-out.
anytime during the year.
Yes.
And get the same price.
Yes.
Right. And there was, a couple of weeks ago, there was a real good article about this in the Beacon Journal that I asked Mark to send to everybody that kind of, it's a little confusing. I mean, the opt-in, the opt-out,
Yes, it
blah,
is.
blah, blah. But that was a real good article that kind of explained it. I don't know if everybody read that or not. But Mark, you want to send it again, please? Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
I would tell you too, historically, there's only 2 times that we go through periods of people calling on the gas and electric side, and that's when the prices go up, everybody immediately starts calling, and then when prices drop, we saw this with gas several years ago. Remember, it had gotten up to like $12.50 an MCF, and then it started coming back down, but we were locked in for another 10 or 12 months, and people were calling, yelling at us about why our price was staying so high, so we were lagging coming down on the backside. So they could have, yes, and that's exactly what we told them.
Mr. Ford?
So have you seen the notification that's going out to residents?
From Dynegy,
Dynegy.
yes.
So what is the April 11th date that they're claiming is the date that you need to opt out?
I think that's the date, and then because in May is the last month you get, because there's a lag time of like 2 months before you go into a new plan. So if you don't opt out by, you can opt out any time, but if you don't opt out by April 11th, you will automatically on your June bill be going to the 928. It's in order to effectuate that, you have to opt out sooner. I'm going to send over Tom Bellish's contact information. He has agreed to, if you get calls and want to refer them, because a lot of the calls we get too are people confused about whether they're in or out, like they got a letter and they don't live in the township, or they live in the township and they didn't get a letter. Tom will look into those things and get back to folks. Because I told Tom this morning, I don't love saying, here, call 1-800, and then, you know, you get whoever it is that's answering the phone. So Tom has agreed to take those calls for us, if you get any.
Mr. Bethany?
And
Sorry,
I
John.
believe the Dynergy plan does not have a monthly fee, and so that's something to watch out for when you're looking at plans on apples to apples, because some of them have monthly fees on top
Yes.
of everything, so.
Mr. Donofrio?
So no other cities besides Franklin you talked about are a part of this?
In our plan, correct?
In your plan?
Yes.
Someone called me the other day and asked about, they had heard that the city of Akron was going to charge $40 more a month. Is that?
Well, that's about what this works out to,
Is that
this increase, which is almost, in a lot of cases, doubling the supply rate on this electric. Well, and the reason is really, it's, so all of this stuff is traded on futures markets, and there's this thing called the PJM, which is the supply grid. And it is, the primary reason is concern about electric supply. Because with all of these data centers and Bitcoin and crypto mining and these really heavily intensive technology facilities that are being built, they have significant concerns about, it's the supply and demand, the availability of supply, as we're not replacing the coal-fired power plants that are going offline with new supply.
That's why the largest investment of Facebook and Google is nuclear. They're building their own plants to run their facilities.
Yep. I saw Bill Gates is heavy into that now, too.
Brian? Sorry.
Bethany going in and, you know.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Madam President. One of the things that was confusing to me when I was looking through all of this is that I understand that, you know, we have switched to Dynergy, but the Energy Harbor is still accepting clients. And so they're still on apples to apples. So
Yeah, I saw that their website is still up.
yeah, they were acquired by
acquired
Dynergy.
Energy Harbor, though, so
Right.
I don't know that we had a choice of staying with Energy Harbor.
Right. But it does seem like Energy Harbor can still accept clients separate from this, but, you know.
Yeah, and I was just looking at, because, again, just like you, I Googled and I saw Energy Harbor's website, so I plugged in my zip code, and the offers that they're showing, one's $989 for 24 months, $969 for 15, $969 for 12, $959 for 6. Ours is $929, so it's still for 13. It's better than every one of these Energy Harbor offers that they're
Sure.
currently listing.
And how often do they update the apples to apples? Because it seemed to me like it was
I think it's pretty regular.
outdated, but maybe it's not. I mean, I would think they would update it almost on a daily basis.
Well, something like our aggregation program and the ones like the city of Akron, most of the cities have their own aggregation programs. Those will only get updated as often as we update pricing. So ours won't get updated again for another year. But a lot of these companies, like on the apples to apples.
Yeah, I'm just thinking particularly of an individual in Summit County that wants to shop around on apples to apples.
I think that they're updated all the time.
Okay.
Now, the market doesn't, you know, they have those auctions. And so electric prices are generally locked in for the next 13 months. If you're on a variable rate, like the Edison SRO plan, that's going to go up and down with usage. So if we have a hot summer, you're going to see those prices going up.
Yeah, the fixed rate can be so beneficial just because we can see what the price difference is now compared to what it was a year ago.
Yeah.
And, it's
But
gone up so
but
much.
it won't always be the best, and that's why I say to think of it like an insurance plan. It sets a ceiling, and if you're comfortable with it, use it. If you're not, if you can get a better price, go do it.
That's a good way to describe it. Thank you.
Aaron?
I was just going to ask, like, how local are these rates?
How local are the rates?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's above my pay grade, but,
I mean, these are not just like the rates in Summit County. They're
well, the ones I just read you for Energy Harbor, they had me plug in my zip code
okay.
to get those.
So they are by.
So that one was, if you look at the apples to apples, it asks you which supplier you want. And so I see a list of, like, here's Town Square Energy East LLC out of Gilbert, Arizona, which is $7.97 for 3 months. Now, I don't know who they are. I don't know if I put in my address if it would say I'm eligible for that. Again, you got to look at the fine print on all of those.
Right. Are there any further questions for Brian? If not, moving on. We have routine legislation found on pages 4 through 7. There are no second readings. There are no third readings. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by Councilman Brandon Ford, followed by a moment of silence. Thank you. Roll call.
Mr. Smith,
Here?
Ms. Hyam,
Here.
Mr. Donafrio,
Here.
Mr. Cajun,
Here.
Ms. Dickinson, Mr. Ford,
Here.
Mr. Wilhite,
Here.
Ms. Darrow,
Here.
Mr. Lacotte,
Here.
Ms. McKinney,
Here.
Ms. Walters.
Here.
May I have a motion for, to approve the minutes for March 24th, 2025, please? I have a motion to approve the minutes. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motions for council. M18, 2025, a motion of council confirming the appointment of Megan Recker, replacing Andrew Schulerman, to the Children Services Board.
I have a motion on M0182025. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
First readings, 2025-93, a resolution authorizing the executive, subject to the approval of the Board of Control, to execute a contract with NTWA Limited Liability Company for asbestos abatement at the building located at 2525 State Road, located in the city of Cuyahoga Falls in Council District 2, and in an amount not to exceed $208,000, funded through a grant award from the Ohio Department of Development's Building Demolition and Site Revitalization Program, with a 25% grant match for the Executive's Department of Administrative Services Physical Plants Emergency.
Madam President, I move to suspend the rules and approve 2025-093.
I have a motion to suspend the rules and adopt 2025-093. On the suspension, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And on the adoption, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
2025-94, a resolution appropriating funds in order to meet projected expenditures for the balance of 2025 as set forth in Exhibit A for the Executive's Department of Finance and Budget Emergency.
Now, Madam President, I move to suspend the rules and adopt 2025-094.
I have a motion to suspend the rules and adopt 2025-094. On the suspension, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And on the adoption, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
2025-95, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a construction contract with Perrin Asphalt Incorporated for the 2025 Summit County 441 Asphalt Concrete 449 Resurfacing Program North in an amount not to exceed $3,114,400 $476.70 for the engineer emergency. 2025-96, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a construction contract with Perrin Asphalt Incorporated for the 2025 Summit County 441 Asphalt Concrete 449 Resurfacing Program South in an amount not to exceed $1,432,012.55 for the engineer emergency. 2025-97, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a purchase contract with Ohio Machinery Company doing business as Ohio Cat at Sourcewell pricing for one new Caterpillar 309 mini excavator in a total amount not to exceed $204,500 for the engineer emergency. 2025-98, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a construction contract with Barbicas Construction Company Incorporated for the parking lot improvement project at the Animal Control Facility located in the City of Akron in Council District 5 for an estimated total cost not to exceed $88,040 for the Executive's Department of Administrative Services, Physical Plants Emergency. 2025-99, a resolution authorizing the executive to execute a 10-year lease agreement with the City of Akron for the Sheriff's multi-jurisdictional Summit County Drug Unit for a total amount not to exceed $627,315.72 for the Executive and Sheriff emergency. 2025-100, a resolution authorizing the Executive on behalf of the Sheriff to execute a mutual aid agreement with the City of Akron, an entity authorized by Section 302.21 of the Ohio Revised Code for the Executive and Sheriff emergency. 2025-101, a resolution authorizing the Executive to execute a master service agreement with Needle Incorporated doing business as Aurelian to process non-emergency calls using an automated voice assistance for various Summit County public safety answering points for implementation and a one-year term beginning on May 1, 25 and in an amount not to exceed $284,000 for the Executive's Department of Public Safety emergency. 2025-102, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of Change Order Number 1 to a professional service contract with the United Way of Summit and Medina to provide additional homeless prevention services for the period October 1, 24 through September 30, 25, and in an amount not to exceed $300,000 for a cumulative increase of 42.86% for a total amount not to exceed $1 million for the Executive's Department of Job and Family Services emergency.
Madam President, I move to amend the agenda to include the late filing.
I have a motion to amend 2025-103. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Late filing, 2025-103, a resolution in support of State Issue 2, the renewal of the State Capital Improvement Program on the May 6, 2025 statewide ballot for the Executive, Engineer, and Council emergency.
Madam President, I move to suspend the rules and adopt 2025-103.
I have a motion to suspend the rules and adopt 2025-103 on the suspension. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And on the adoption, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Madam President, I move to suspend the rules and adopt the routine agenda found on pages 4 through 7.
I have a motion to suspend the rules and adopt routine legislation found on pages 4 through 7. On the suspension, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And on the adoption, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, that will be it for the, I'm going to move that we go into a, I need a motion to go into executive session to review proposed collective bargaining strategy. Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hyam?
Yes.
Mr. Donofrio? Mr. Cajun?
Yes.
Ms. Dickinson?
Yes.
Mr. Ford? Mr. Wilhite? Ms. Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Lacotte?
Yes.
Ms. McKinney?
Yes.
Ms. Walters?
Yes.
Okay, at this time, I ask that everybody please leave the chamber that is not invited. Mr. Nelson?